Welcome back to another Cobras. Welcome home. I'm Miranda Innes. We're on the campus live at CC Sweden Senior High School here in Nassau, Bahamas, and we are in our final week. In just a few days, in just 3 days, we will be hosting our 50th anniversary banquet at Super Club Breezes in Cable Beach, and we are excited. We're sold out. There are no more tickets. We are absolutely sold out, and it's just been a wonderful past few weeks being able to gather principals, teachers, students from all over. I have with me a senior at CC Sweeting today. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Julian Lubin I'm from 12S1.
Julia Lubin. Julia, what are you studying?
I'm studying, for me, that would be fine arts.
Fine arts. So tell us about some of your courses.
For one of my courses, that would be drawing and painting and then graphic design. In drawing and painting, we focus more on, I guess, like more of the fundamentals, like say, for example, drawing from observation, interpretive studies, all that type of stuff. And then when it comes to graphic design, we basically practice like when it comes to fonts, more cartoony images and all that
animation, stuff like that. So
Yes.
what do you intend to do after you graduate high school?
Well, I intend to go study abroad in Canada. I definitely want to go into illustration, as I always felt like growing up. When it comes to art, I always have freedom to express myself, do whatever I want when it comes to art and all type of stuff. There's no limitations, nothing like that.
What do you like most about being a student at CC Sweeting?
Well, for me, it definitely has to be when it comes to my friends, and definitely the very intelligent teachers I'm honored to have, interacting with me, teaching me all that type of stuff.
You have a favorite teacher?
Not really specifically, but there are some good teachers I would like to mention.
Sure.
I would like to mention my art teacher, Mr. Claire, my English teacher, Mr. Joaquin, my history teacher, Ms. Cooper. Who else would I like to? Because she's not attending the school right now. She's not teaching the school right now, but I also like to mention my old graphic design teacher, Miss Smith, my math teacher, Miss Barrows, as well.
Great job, Gloria. Nice to meet you.
All right. It's nice to meet you, too. It was good.
All right. Come
Thank
on, who's next? So that there you have it, Gloria. She's a fine arts in the Department of Fine Arts and looking towards being an illustrator. So we could look for Gloria Lubin. That's the name. Julian Lubin. Okay. So hi, how are you?
Hi,
Introduce yourself.
I'm Dinashne Farrington.
Dinashne Farrington. Okay.
Yes,
What department are you in?
I study actually 3 different: Bahama Host, Food Nutrition, and Clothing Construction.
So that means you're in the hotel and catering department,
Yes,
or tourism, I guess they would
Yes,
call it now. Why did you choose that department?
I didn't really choose it, but I'm really happy they put me inside it because I recently received like 2 certifications I took the exams for.
Certifications in what?
Um, Bahama Host,
Okay.
doing a 1, guest service and restaurant service I did.
Oh, so you're ready to go and take over somebody's front desk already?
Yes, ma'am. But I'm not sure if I really want to do that. Probably like I'll stick in the foods.
So you mean like doing more like a chef or something?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
so you like the cooking parts of it. So what's your best dish? If I could eat anything that you made, what would be the best thing you've ever made?
Something the best I ever made was probably ribs and peas and rice.
Ribs and beef and rice? You have some special seasoning or something you use for that?
Yes, ma'am.
A secret formula?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you.
Yes,
Have a great year, okay?
Yes,
Come on. This is the last one. She's the most reluctant. These are, you can see, are very articulate, intelligent young women, seniors here at CC Sweeting. I'm proud of them already. And this is the last one who's very reluctant. Angel Roll. I saw your name on your shirt. Angel, take your mask off. I promise you, you're not going to die. I promise you. Say hi, Angel. Come on, turn around. Turn around. Okay, so what are you studying?
Performing arts.
You have to speak up.
Performing arts.
Performing arts, that means people who like to be on the stage performing. You get it? Performing arts. You can't be shy in performing arts, Angel. Come on. So what are you playing? A musical instrument or singing or what? What part of performing arts?
And music history and singing as well.
You have so you sing well. You have a really good singing voice. No. Are you learning how to play any instruments? No.
Not yet.
So which instrument are you going? You're in grade 12. You don't have much time left to learn one.
Our teacher's gonna teach us how to play the piano.
Also, you're going to be a pianist. But what do you want to do when you graduate?
I want to go off to college and study psychology.
Oh, okay. So you really ain't into artistic kind of stuff like that. So if you're going to be a psychologist, you have to talk. You have to be able to analyze people, right? Get into their minds. You can't be shy. You can't be shy. You got to practice that from now. So, Angel, all the best in your studies. Y'all do well, blasted. When we come to graduation, honors. Honors. Okay? Honors. Nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You too. There you have it. I've been talking with three seniors, Angel, Roll, Gloria, and you want to ask me a question?
Where can we watch this interview?
On YouTube. If you give me give her Dennis. Take her name and number. So it's gonna be live on YouTube. Come. It's gonna be on Facebook or YouTube, but yeah, but so she could have the information also make sure they get the link. Okay, so come on, I have somebody else tuning in. I just lost some people. Okay, back here live with my girl. Listen, y'all who already don't know, Money Wallace, Crack Wallace. I reversed the name. If you don't know Money Crack Wallace, listen. Monique is Miss CC Sweden. Monique is Miss Church of God. Monique is Miss Spain Town. Monique is just one of those persons who knows everybody. Monique is one of the friendliest people that I know. She's my girl. I like to have her near me because every time she's near me, she's telling me who somebody is. Because I don't know many people, but listen, Monique is an 85 graduate.
Yes, I am.
85 graduate of CC. Tell us about some of your days here at CC Sweden.
Oh, my days at CC was awesome. We had the best teachers. I was in 10H2. Mrs. Christine Ducey was my homeroom teacher. We had Mr. Blyden. We go to Mr. Blyden for hotel training. Natalie Thompson, Miss Beverly Bannaby. Miss Chatham was our principal. You had Mr. Butler. You had Mr. Pratt.
So what I tell y'all, Monique remembers everybody.
We go to Miss Anita Bannaby for history. School days was the best days in school. We had a good time in school. We had a first school that had the performing art did Grease won. Under the
Were you in it?
direction
You was
of,
in the
no, I
production?
wasn't in it.
Oh.
But under the direction of Miss Carrington. Yeah, she passed, God bless her soul. And we had some good days in school.
Who were some of your favorite teachers? Because I know you had one.
We had my French teacher was Miss Deborah Clinton. Missy Ducey, my English teacher. We went to Miss Forbes. We had Miss Forbes too. All our teachers was good. We had no favorite. We had Mr. Tooth for our science teacher. We had Miss Forbes. We had Mr. King, who just gone on to be with the Lord. We had some great times. When Miranda then came, left, I was on that march and all. When we had that march in 1983, oh yes, I was right there. When we reached by Aaron Bailey, we marched from Bay Street to Aaron Bailey after we leave there. When Aaron Bailey saw us coming, they say, CC, come in, close the gate. And they closed the gate, so all we did was march up Robinson Road back to CC. That was a day in history.
Yeah.
God is good.
Yeah, we've had a lot of memorable occasions here at CC Sweden. What stands out most in your mind when you think about your experience at the school, your friends, the teachers? What stands out most in your mind?
Those days, we were like family. We could talk to each other and we eat together. We do a lot of things together, but now today, the students today, it's like they're not together like they used, like back in our days. Back in our days, we could go to our teachers and we could sit down and talk to them, and they will help us and encourage us. We even had Mr. William Thompson. He used to be the guidance counselor here. Miss Newbold. They were good guidance counselors back in our day. And Miss Lightburn. Oh yeah, we had some of the best. This was the best school in town, and it still is. Don't mind them, but the big dollars learn us, and we came out smart, and we have some of the best students that are running this country up to this day.
Right.
And God has been good to CC students.
So I know you've been a part of the whole planning committee for the ball, and you guys have been working hard. And just give us a little hint. Though you can't tell us everything, but just a little tiny hint
all I can
of what
say,
to expect.
When y'all come in that ball hall on Saturday, y'all gonna get the shock of your life.
So it's gonna be a good shock.
Decorating team, we got it ready for you all. I am also on the executive board of CC Speeding. I'm the sergeant of arms. When we have our meetings, you come to the door. All I want from you is to sign your name and give me my $5 dues. That's why they call me the tax collector. But otherwise, I make sure you be happy as well. I always have a smile on my face. My nickname is Mama Smiley.
I'm glad that she mentioned the alumni meeting, because it is the alumni that is responsible for planning this banquet on October 1st, where we are honoring the Commissioner of Police, Clayton Fernando, the Commodore of the Defense Force, Dr. Raymond King, and our former principal, the first principal of the school, His Excellency A. Leonard Archer. And we really want those of you out there to get involved in the alumni, because it's the alumni that is responsible for giving back, for doing work for the students. The funds that we raise will go towards programs and initiatives to help the students. If there's a student who hasn't been able to raise the money to pay to take a BGCSE exam, a BJC, to go on a field trip, we want to be able to do tangible things that will really help to strengthen and help the progress of the children at the school. Because in my mind, Monique, I want to do things for the kids that I didn't get to do. That because I didn't have the money to do something, because my parents or whatever the case is, to be able to provide opportunities for the students. So we're encouraging those of you out there, listen, come and be a part of the alumni. You'll hear more about the alumni and the work that the alumni is doing and plans to do at the banquet on Saturday night. Listen, the banquet is sold out.
Yes, it's sold out, and we still have people calling me, asking me for ticket. But ain't nothing we can do. We already sold out, and trust me, I work hard.
Yeah. We worked hard as a team. We worked hard as a team.
Fundraisers, events, the fair, and now we are down almost to the last end of the wire.
Right to the wire. Listen.
Right to the wire, and anybody needs to be on the CC Alumni chat group, give me a call at 395-7218. I'll be glad to add you into the group and welcome you.
395 again.
395.
Let me type it in there. Let me put your name. Monique Pratt
Wallace. That's me.
Pratt Wallace. You got two names, y'all.
Yeah, I'm married. I'm born a Pratt and I'm married a Wallace.
And that number is
395 72 18.
So if you become a part of the chat 7218, you keep abreast of
everything,
of what's going on inside of the chat. But oh Lord, people put all kinds of different things in there, I gotta tell you.
Yes.
But really, we try to keep you abreast of what's happening with the alumni so that you can support, because that's why we do what we do, so that we can support. But also it's a great opportunity to reconnect with old friends and make new ones.
We have friends from Switzerland, all over the world. We have them on the chat group. And we haven't seen a lot of them in years. On Friday coming, we having the meet and greet. It's from 6 to 10 right here at the school. So come on down and fellowship with your friends and schoolmates you haven't seen in years. Let's mix and mingle and have a good time.
Yeah, so that's right. It's this Friday in this very room, which is the dining hall,
Yes.
where we're sitting. The meet and greet will be held, and it's open to whomever are alumni, whoever graduated from CC Sweeting. It doesn't matter what year you graduated, whether you graduated in 2021 or 1975. It doesn't matter. We just are open to having whoever will to come on down and to mix and mingle, because you don't know what kind of connections you can make. Because again, we have graduates serving in all different capacities throughout the society. Who would have thought that in 2022, two graduates from CC Sweeting will be in charge of the two premier law enforcement agencies in this nation? Who would have thought?
Never would have thought in my life. And I grew up with Clayton. Fernanda, he was my back road neighbor. I stay in the back road with them. We fellowship together. Mr. Raymond King in school. God has been good to CC Sweeting alumni and CC Sweeting School on the whole. Mm-hmm. We are number one in this country. Mm-hmm. We had teachers too, like Miss Virginia Johnson. We had Miss Jacqueline Carey Knowles. We had some great teachers. Miranda, I know you had some great teachers back in the day.
I had a whole lot of good teachers.
And they were excellent.
They were. I mean, in the business department, of course, we had Maisie Smith, we had Deborah Clinton, we had Rodney Johnson.
Oh, yes.
We had, oh gosh, now her name escapes me, Ms. Williams. I can't remember her first name, but typing shorthand.
Oh, yeah.
Being in that department, I got to say this. CC Sweeting, for those of you who aren't aware, it was the first school in this country to give students a choice.
Oh, yes.
We had the opportunity to choose from high school the career path that we wanted to go in. And so, Monique, when I was in grade 10 and we had that opportunity, my little 14-year-old mind was saying, I want to learn how to type. Because once I graduate, at least I'll be able to get a job because I could type. Yeah. And it was for that reason that I chose the business department.
Well, I chose hotel training, but I ended up doing preschool, and I enjoy it very well. I enjoy cooking. Mr. Blythe used to have us cooking food. We used to go to Miss Jackie Carey Knowles for cookery. We do a lot of baking and cooking. We had some great time in CC Sweeting.
So how do you think the whole experience of being there actually prepared you for life?
Oh, it really prepared me because it made me to learn to understand that in everything in life, you see people you must have. It also prepared me for the workplace. Because when I leave CC in September of 85, my first job was working in Life of Key as a maid. I worked there for 2 years.
And this is immediately out of high school, you landed a job.
My grandmother said, you finish school in June, September. When you see I come to your house in September, and I said, Monique, let's go. You're going to work with me in Life of Key.
What was that experience like? What did you learn so young? Because you would have been, 17, 16?
I had to learn in Life of Key when you work in the private home. You got to clean, you have to make up beds, you got to wash the people's clothes.
But what did you learn overall about you as Monique, the individual?
When you go to work, you go there to work, to earn an honest day's pay. The Bible says, by the sweat of your eye, you'll eat bread. You don't go to work to sit down on the people's job, being on the telephone. But back in the day, we didn't know about phone them days.
There wasn't no cell phones around.
We had no cell phone and stuff like that. But when I went to work, I went to work. I did my work. I did what I was supposed to do. And at the end of the day, I was happy. I learned how to, and it's important that you be to work on time. time is important. You have to give people their time. If they say 9 to 5, you work 9 to 5, not 9 to 4 and you go home.
So you learn to be disciplined.
I learned discipline. I used to live in Elizabeth Estate, and I had to be by COB on Thompson Boulevard for when that bus reached there 8 o'clock to catch the 8 o'clock bus to be in Life Key for 9 o'clock. So I used to have to leave Elizabeth Estate 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
So I know what it is getting up early and getting to work on time.
And that stayed with you throughout your career.
My grandmother always say, you don't let nobody wait on you, you wait on them. And I'm continuing doing that. And I instill that in my children all the time.
So what about, did you have like a secret crush on anybody that you never ever told them about, whether it was a teacher or a student? No secret crushes?
No, I had no secret crush
because you told them whoever you did.
I got saved in grade 10.
So I mean, you can't have a crush if you say
I wasn't interested in no man and no guys and things. I had male friends. Yeah, I used to hang with the boys in school. Not too much females. Every time you see me, I with the males, with the guys, them. We'll take pictures hugging up one another. You know, we had fun in school. We were like family.
Hey, good afternoon, Ingrid. Good to see you. So, you've stayed in touch. You're one of those people who have been a part of the alumni since day one.
Well, the alumni was formed in 2015. I think I came in, but that same time.
Came in from day one, the Dr. Newburst.
Yes, I was on the Dr. Newburst.
All of us together. And I remember her reaching out, and she was very, very instrumental in actually starting the alumni. Because for those of you who don't know, many of the graduating classes would have had their own particular class groups, and they would have their own events and banquets and parties, etc. But when Dr. Deborah Newbirth came back into the country, because she was living in the U.S., she got along with some other friends, and they decided that it would be a great idea if we would have a united alumni, and thus the general alumni was formed for C.C. Sweeting, and we came on board because what the intent was to bring together all of the graduating classes. At the time, I didn't even know the school had opened, honestly, in 1971. But the intent was that every subsequent graduating class would send a representative to the general alumni so that together we would be able to create programs and initiatives that would benefit the students in the school. And so under her leadership, we started to begin to come together to kind of collaborate and to create different programs and just support each other, really, because that's another thing about being a part of the alumni. You get support. It's a network of students of the school, graduates, alumnus, whatever you want to call it, that come together and support. And in times of trouble, in times of sickness, in times of death, I know many times we would go and visit persons who were sick among the alumni, take them a little gift as a token of love and appreciation. And we want to make sure that this whole spirit of family and camaraderie continues in the alumni. And that's why we're very, very excited too about embracing even former teachers who would have been a part and poured into the lives of students to be able to also come in and support. And I got to tell you, we've been getting a lot of support from former administrators and principals and teachers of the school. So those of you who have not got tickets for Saturday night, we'll tell you about it. Or you'll have to watch the video, because I believe it's going to be the kind of reunion that we've never seen in this school or in our lifetime when it comes to pulling together former administrators along with current ones and former teachers with existing ones. And just us old folk now, because imagine we're the old folks.
That's amazing. We're still looking well.
We're the old folk now. Listen, we graduated in the 80s.
Yeah, the banquet is going to be off the chain. I'm telling you.
I have no doubt about it. So good afternoon, my sister. Hey, Esther. This is my baby sister, y'all. She
Hi,
says
Esther, how you
she's
doing?
in Alabama. She says, "Sis, you're doing a phenomenal job with these conversations about life and legacy of the students." Hi, Esther didn't attend. She didn't have the good fortune of attending CC's meeting.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
She really didn't have the good fortune, but nevertheless, I can't deny her. She is my blood. Bonnie, thank you. I believe this is Anna Wilson.
Yes,
Come
Miss
on down,
Wilson,
come.
our former English teacher.
So I
Good
have
looking
joining me the beautiful.
Thank you. God bless
Thanks,
you all.
Bonnie.
See you all at the banquet.
Don't go far. Just slide on over. Let Miss Wilson come on in. I've been communicating with her over the phone. It's good to see you.
It's good to be here.
So I have with me Anna Wilson. She was in the English department,
Yes. When I left, I was head of language arts.
head of language arts. And what were the years that you taught?
Well, I came here in January 1983,
Okay,
and I left in 91.
83.
So I was in 8 years.
8 years. Okay, and you didn't have the good fortune of teaching us, but nevertheless, nevertheless. But listen,
Oh, I had some wonderful ones, though.
tell us about your time here. You came in. Clearly, you're gorgeous, by the way, and
Thank
clearly
you.
you were very young
Yes.
because you don't look much older than I do.
I
but
was early 20s, like
early
23,
20s,
23.
fresh out of college.
Yes.
So, what was that like coming? This was your first teaching stint.
Well, I taught in Harbor Island for a term, and then I got married, and I was transferred back to New Providence.
So, the contrast from Harbor Island to New Providence in the largest high school at the time. What was that
Yes.
like?
Well, Harbor Island was an all-age school, so I had the experience of teaching 7th through 12th grades,
Okay.
and it was a community. So I really had the opportunity to be nurtured those few months that I spent there, and I still have real sound, solid relationships with former students and some of the parents of the students that I taught there. But coming here to CC, it was different. A very large school. And like you said, I was very young. There were actually some of my students that I was like 4 years older than.
Yeah. I can
And
imagine.
so
So the boys must have been hitting on you, of course.
they didn't hit on me because I had this strict,
Oh,
stern way about me.
okay.
Yeah. But I found out after graduation that the
Yes,
entire big pawn wanted to marry me.
So you would have been here with the Commodore. Did you have the opportunity to teach Ray?
I didn't teach him,
Okay.
but I taught someone that he was very close to, Shelton Hall.
Okay.
I understand they walked home together every day because they lived in the same neighborhood.
Right. When you said big pawn, that
Yeah.
reminded me. Okay.
Yes. And so I always had the industrial craft students as homeroom, mainly because of my choice. Because
And why was that your
simply
choice?
because I never felt that you could depend on the government to do everything for your classroom, and I liked my classroom to be a certain way. And so those students, they worked with their hands. So I would buy
Smart.
we would put together, buy our material, we paint our room ourselves. Any repairs that needed to be done, they would do them for me. And so I liked having them because they were handy. And then too, they had this image of themselves, a lot of them, that the A's and the BS's was superior to them. And so I had a conversation with them, and I said this to all of them year after year. Those A's and BS students are going to pay you to do their work.
Absolutely.
So do the best that you can, be as skilled as you can be, because at the end of the day, they are going to seek your services out, and all the money that they may make from their profession, they will have to pay you from that.
That's so true.
Yes.
It's so true.
And so I was just telling someone, I enjoyed my years at CC Sweeting so much. I have bonds with my students. I hear from students on a weekly basis because we have groups.
Okay.
And Christopher Cox, you would know that he passed. He was
I
in
heard
the
the name.
85. Yeah, he was in the 85 class. That was my homeroom class. He was in my homeroom class. And this funeral is at 11 on Saturday for those of you at Faith Temple, for those of you who might not have heard. And that class was very special. You had special in that they made me better. They tested me. When school started that September, I had just gotten through with a 12th grade class. And so I just wanted to.
And this was 85. You're going back
This was
to
85. Yeah.
Okay.
This would have been 84.
Okay.
They would be going into graduate in 85. And I wanted to have a 10th grade class so that I could just
grow with them.
Yeah, and just relax. And because I just gotten through with the 12th grade class. And I went to receive my class list. And I got this list. And I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying this because we worked so hard together. And on that list, it was a list of P's.
What does that mean?
Well, I went to Mrs. Archer, who was the senior mistress, and I said, Mrs. Archer,
Is that Lenora?
Yes.
Okay.
I said, I think I know what the P means, but I think I would prefer believing they're all prefix. And she said, sadly not. The P is not for prefect. So I said, well, then the P is for probation. And she said, yes.
Oh.
I said, you guys know the struggle I had getting that last 12th grade class to graduate. And you're now giving me a class of probationary students. And I guess they saw something in me
You had
why
the ability.
why they gave them to me. And I was really angry, really. And I said, okay, at that point, if you didn't have a 2-point average by the end of the Christmas term, you were dismissed. And I remember saying to someone, well, come January, I wouldn't have a homeroom class. I'll just be free, single, and disengaged because with all these P's, they'll be gone.
Wow.
And so I taught like I was supposed to, but the extra effort I did not put in. And when the time came for them to be dismissed, you heard about crocodile tears? I cried crocodile and alligator tears, okay? I went to Mr. Ralph.
Fake.
No, real. I mean, pouring out my face. And I said, Mr. Hannah, I said, if these students leave like this, I would have failed them. I would have failed myself.
Okay.
If they're not where they need to be by the end of the Easter break, then I will help you usher them out. But give me until then to work with them.
Okay.
And I sent letters home to their parents and asked permission for them to stay behind in the afternoons. I got their notebooks. There was a certain teacher who said she was teaching before I was born. Why am I perusing her notebook? But that they said, please don't talk to her because she would treat us real bad.
Okay.
So I left that alone. I said, I'll deal with her at graduation. And I studied their notes. I simplified their notes. Because really the problem was the notes were above their heads.
Okay. Not relatable.
No, not at all. So I went home, I studied their notes, I simplified their notes, and I gave them their notes back. And when they had tests, they didn't have lunch break. We stayed in and we reviewed for those tests.
And they were
receptive.
I was going to say, were they willing
receptive,
participants?
excited, very receptive. And we did that. And I had a very good assistant teacher. He was excellent with math. So I did all the other subjects and he did the math every Thursday with them. And when they had quizzes, he would come in on his lunch break as well. And he would work with them. And to cut a long story short, when they graduated, there were 2 of them in that class that I was not able to get to a 2-point.
Only 2.
Only 2 out of a class of like 26.
Amazing.
There were two of them, and it hurt me so much because one, her average was like a 1.8 something, and the other a 1.9 something.
Okay, it wasn't
Very
far.
close,
Yeah.
but they were such sticklers back then for the 2 point. So they were not allowed to graduate. And at graduation, there was one student who walked away with a trophy almost as tall as I am for being the most improved student in the entire
School.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
If you're just joining me, I'm talking with Anna Smith, who was head of the language arts department here at CC Sweeting.
Miss Evans at the time, because
Miss
they'd be like,
Evans.
"That's not Smith, that's Miss Evans." Yeah.
Okay. So let's get this comment in from Candice Moss Moultrie.
Yes, that's one of my students.
Anna Wilson Smith, we love you and we still do. You were always a great woman doing life phenomenally. Okay. All
Yes,
right.
He was in a business class that I taught. Yeah.
Okay, listen, so
Thank you, Candace.
that is absolutely a very, very compelling statement, a telling statement of someone who is actually sanctioning everything that you've been saying about your relationship with your students, etc. As far as you would have been under whose administration at the time?
Mrs. Churham would have been the principal at that time.
And what was it like working with Mrs. Churham? I know she's now deceased.
Yeah, Mrs. Churham was kind, very kind. She was personable, and she had an open door policy, and she was engaged in events and affairs. I remember I was big on sports, and so when I left, the students talked about how they missed the tuna sandwiches because I made the tuna sandwiches with heavy tuna, and I took pride in making those sandwiches. And I remember one track meet, Mrs. Churham came down because she was always supportive, and someone said to her, "What are you feeding those students?" Because we were the powerhouse. What are you feeding those students? They are just winning all of the races. And she said, "That's our secret." And I think she was just always involved, and you could see her at basketball games, at track meets, wherever something was happening with CC Sweeting, she would be there. And the choir, we had a teacher's choir, and she had the strongest alto because I sing alto, but boy, she would put anyone to shame with that alto that she carried. Yes.
Mrs. Churham was actually my primary school principal.
Oh, really?
I went to Georgia Prince William.
Ah.
And so I was amazed when they said she was principal at CC at some point. I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
So working in that kind of administration where there was definitely support for any initiatives that you would have wanted to implement, etc. What about the camaraderie, if any, that existed between?
I couldn't wait for you to ask me this question. I just couldn't wait.
Okay.
Thank you. Because even if you didn't ask me, I was going to have to go
Say
there.
something anyway. Okay.
We had a bond like no other. Let me just give you an example. You would know Jenny Mae Cox.
Yes.
Okay. When I went to sign in the mornings, she would kiss me on my cheek.
Okay.
And leave a red lipstick on my cheek. And she would say, "Now, don't you take that off. I want to see that when you come to sign out this afternoon."
Oh, wow.
And
That's
persons
special.
would come during the day in the beginning to wipe that off, and I would step back and say, this is my passport out of here this afternoon. And we are each other's children's godparents. Funerals, you'd see them show up. We had a full choir that sang at Mrs. Churham's funeral. And this would have been about probably 8 or so years ago, maybe 10 years now. And after I've been out 31 years, and after all that time, we had a full choir that sang at that service. Yes. and Mr. Blyden. I don't know if you remember
Yes,
Mr. Joe
listen,
Blyden.
everybody has called his name at some point in
Mhm.
every interview over the past
Mr.
few
Blyden
weeks.
always cooked. And so any given day, you could see teachers just streaming in, getting a plate, having something to eat. We would all be there cleaning chicken together and for events, and cleaning chicken for events. And like I said, making the tuna sandwiches, the corned beef sandwiches and stuff to take down to the meat. We were a family.
Here's what I've gathered, and I don't know uh, specifically. I can't put my finger on what it is, but literally in every conversation I've had with students or former administrators or teachers, they've said this was a family, no matter what administration it was under. And honestly, I got to tell you, I'm quite amazed that no matter, when I spoke to someone who was under Mr. Archer's administration, they talked about this whole sense of family and pride and the connection that they had. The same thing that I spoke to you. I spoke to someone else who was under Mrs. Dolores Ingram's administration. They said the same thing. It seems to be this underlying thread that runs through the fabric of CC Sweeting, no matter what administration, no matter what decade. I'm absolutely amazed by that. And I've literally spoke to students who said, we loved being here. There was one young lady that her parents attended the school. They sent her to a private school. She begged and pleaded with them to take her out, and they did. They sent her here. She loved it, and she says she's now looking forward to when she has a kid.
Sending her child here.
I've never heard anything like that in my life.
It's the relationship. It's nothing that I've had in any other institution that I've worked at. And Scotia was close because it was a small branch. Scotia was close, but CC Sweeting. I let me tell you how bad this thing is. I attended St. Anne's. And there were times when St. Anne's was competing with CC Sweeting, and I pulled for CC Sweeting. I said, well, the uniform is just reversed.
Yes.
So, maybe I got mixed up. Who knows?
That is absolutely
But
incredible.
It was a wonderful experience, and watching the students develop, and I was a defender of the bad guys, and I was told this by a certain senior master.
Okay.
Yeah, he said to me, I could pay a student a compliment, and they would take your reprimand better than they would take my compliment.
Because you built relationship.
It was all about relationship and love. They knew that I was coming up the bat for them, and I was going to defend and find out later exactly what happened. But I was not letting them go down, and
Right.
they knew
Without
that.
a fight.
So whenever something happened, they were going to run and find me. And I remember this guy. He was really special. You didn't fool with him. Let's just put it like that.
Okay.
And he was in my class, not my homeroom. And one day, this girl, she came running. She called his name, and he said he's about to fight the senior master. And I used to wear high heel shoes back then, and stockings. And so me and my high heel shoes and my stockings running across the campus, top speed. And I could hear him. I ran down. I don't know if you remember how where the art rooms were.
Yes.
So you had that angle. So I thought he was in his homeroom class. So I went that way, but he was in the foyer. And as I neared the end of the walkway to the art room, I could hear him screaming at the senior master, telling him not to put his Which you could
Hands
call a
on
hand
him.
on him or he could kill him. Yes. And I was out of breath and I went and I put my hand on his shoulder, called his name. I said, let's go. Because the senior master was trying to get him to leave the campus and he couldn't. I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, let's go. He walked with me to my classroom. I said, sit down. He sat down. I said, this is a piece of paper. This is a pen. You are going to write what I tell you. And you're going to give a letter to the senior master. You're going to give it to the teacher. And then you're going to give a copy to the senior master. And I made him apologize, accept his wrong. They were expelling him that day. He ended up with a 2-week suspension.
So you saved his high school career in that sense.
And that was my mission. Another student went to Cat Island, where I'm from, and he saw my cousin, and he said, you remind me of my teacher. And she said, what's your teacher's name? He told her. And she said, oh, that's her dad there. And so she took him over and introduced him to my dad. And he said to my dad, he said, I could never forget your daughter. He said, I dropped out of school and she came and made me come back. When I'd be driving through all Baintown, my dad would be, how do you know these areas? I said, Daddy, these are the areas I come to grab my students. If parents are selling something to help to support the children, oh, I'm going there, I'm going to buy. The same guy who just talked about me, I used to buy tarts and bread every week because that's how his mom and his Grammy supported them. And
so you supported
so
her.
I would buy my bread and my tart every week. And he told my dad, he said, she came and she made me come back to school. And he is a police officer now and has a family doing very well. And then there was this other girl. I don't know if you remember when we were having the asbestos problem.
No, I probably
Okay, that's when our students marched to Bay Street, and I told the teachers, you can't mark them absent because they're fighting for us. They're about to leave.
Oh, that was the year after us, right? That
Okay,
was
Dennis
probably
Daines,
83.
and then
Yeah.
Siobhan Davis.
Yeah, that would have been
and
the year after us.
And I said, they're leaving. We're going to be here with the asbestos problem, so we don't need to mark them absent. And I remember we were on half days, so some would come in the morning, some would come in the afternoon. And one of my homeroom students became pregnant, and she just wasn't coming to school, and that was not her. So I asked, and someone whispered to me that she was pregnant. So
This would have been at what grade level?
12th.
12th?
And so I went looking for her. And you know when you can tell that someone is communicating with somebody, this little boy was like, she's not here. And I could see his eyes going, glancing like she was behind the door. So I talked to him a few minutes, and I said, I didn't come here for this. I pushed the door open.
That was bold.
Bold. I went in, and she was behind the door. And when she saw me, she just fell on me. And the two of us just sat on the couch and we wept, both of us. I dried my tears. I dried the tears. I said, okay, here's how this is going to pan out. Registers, because she told me straight up, she said, I have to go to another school. I'm not going back to school. I said, okay. And
So the
administration,
policy was at the time, if you got pregnant,
you couldn't
in
return to
school,
the
you
same
couldn't
school.
come back to the same school.
They'll put you in another school. And administration at that time, they would be finding this out right now. And many of the students would just be finding this out because I called my class together. I said, we're a family. I said, family don't air dirty laundry. I said, I'm doing what I can to get her back in school. And nobody is to know anything. So she had the baby, it would have been like October. And our final register, October, November, our final register had to be in the first week in December. So I told her, I said, after you have the baby, you can only have like 4, maybe 5 weeks off. And then you have to come to school because I have to turn in this register. So I stalled on my register for about 2 weeks. And because they knew that they knew I was good at what I did. So they didn't harass me for my register. So she came back to school. I submitted my register with her name on it.
It's beautiful.
And she, at graduation, she got 4 awards. And you know, the 12th graders would normally leave like May to start their exams. And so I was in the hallway outside the principal's office with a group of teachers. And she came and she stood halfway. And she called me. I walked towards her. And as I walked towards her, the tears started falling from her face. And I said to her, I know, and it's good. It's all good. And I left. Because if I had stayed there,
You would have been
oh man, and then I was going to explain why I was crying and all this stuff. So I just told her, I said, I know, it's all good.
Listen, you
Yes.
poured your heart
I did.
and soul into these students.
I did. I loved I loved teaching. I loved my students.
I can feel
And
it.
I always wanted them to do well. Always wanted them to do well and
Listen.
have a fighting chance.
Listen, if you're out there, share this. If Anna Wilson has taught you at any point, share some stories, tell somebody else about this. We're live coming from the campus of C.C. Sweeting Senior High School here in Nassau. I'm so glad she stopped by to just share her memories and about life at C.C. Sweeting, because I have heard, as I've said, and I reiterate, every person that I have spoken to talk about the sense of family, the connection, the teachers caring, even right up to someone who graduated most recently in the 2000s. And they were talking about this whole sense of family and excellent teachers. And I don't think in the past or even right now, subsequent administrations have done enough to promote themselves and the work that teachers have been doing over the decades of the school. And that's why I'm so happy that when I came on board and helping with the promotions a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to tell some stories. I wanted to share stories so that people would know.
And you've done well.
Thank you.
Phenomenally well.
It is a myth, whatever it is, that you have thought or heard about C.C. Sweeting.
Absolutely. And you know, I remember a student saying to me, he felt that the private sector had the advantage.
Sure.
You know, and I guess you could understand that. But I had to let him know that I knew of persons from the private sector who left school with really nothing. And I don't know, you might not even know about this, but there in the year just before I left, C.C. Sweeting's language arts department was ranked among the top in the country with the private schools. Our results were actually better than many of the private schools. Us and S.C. McPherson. Yeah, we had tremendous, phenomenal success that year.
See, those are the things that should be publicized.
Yes.
And
This same student who felt inferior, he was one of the top achievers in that year.
amazing.
Yeah, but I tell people, I work at Family Guardian, been there 31 years, and I am so proud to say that our financial controller is a Cobra.
Oh, what is his name?
Her name is Sandra Payne.
Sandra Payne. She was
Sandra
a Payne
Payne in high school. She's
Sandra Payne. Good
Shout out to
you.
Sandra Payne. Yes,
Absolutely.
she is our financial controller.
We're everywhere doing excellent.
I am telling you, and it does my heart good because I have another student, a Haitian Bahamian student, and he played around in school because he just didn't think he would go anywhere. And I pulled him aside and I said to him, I said, I see potential in you. I said, I am going to pull you out from the grouping that I see you in. I want to work with you because you can do well. He's a doctor today. He is a doctor. Yes.
I love it.
And his mother-in-law works with me, and she said, there's hardly a day that goes by that he doesn't call me. Wow. Because I saw something in him, and I told him, I said, I'm going to separate you from the group that I see you in because I see potential in you.
And that's a part of what this alumni coming on stream is proposing to do for the students in the school, to be able to pull them out, to create opportunities for them.
Absolutely.
That we ourselves may not have had and are able now to pour back into the next generation. I've spoken to some of the most articulate students over the past few weeks right in the school right now who are very clear about what they want to do at such a young age. I got to tell you, at 14, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do.
Right.
I just knew that at the time, if I got a skill, I knew that I would be able to get a job. And so at 14, coming into the school, I didn't think about college. I'm not sure why I didn't. It wasn't prominent in my mind at the time. But I knew that if I learned how to type, at the least, I could be a secretary and have a skill. So I entered the business department. Subsequently, I went on to become the head girl. So at 15, I always tell the story, I'm in ZNS on a talk show with Phil Smith, with other high school students. I'm thinking it was like National Youth Month. And we're exiting the studio, and he pulls me aside. This is like Phil Smith, former sportscaster.
Yeah.
And Phil says to me, whenever you go to college, you should study journalism.
Oh, wow.
So he's the person that planted the seed within me that I should study journalism and broadcasting. And when I graduated and matriculated to college, I didn't at first. I went into computer science. I was writing language and COBOL because kind of like a geek too. And I really got into that. Computers, this is the 80s. So computers were coming on stream. And sometimes I'm like, why did you leave? But in any event, I did that in my junior year. I decided I would switch to the School of Journalism in my junior year of college. And I had to, of course, it was a whole different school, and I had
really
to apply myself and take a lot of extra credits and all that stuff. But it was because of that foundation, that seed being planted, that I've had a career in journalism over 30 years, almost 40 years. And literally, it's the only job I've ever had. But right from here, I mean, being here
gave you that opportunity.
Gave me the opportunity. First of all, I didn't even know that I was a leader. So being able. Candace says teachers aren't made like Mrs. Wilson. You're absolutely right. They're not made like her because the stories that she's shared just today, the extra effort, going that extra mile for students, it is a rare commodity, however, not unfamiliar with similar stories that I've heard from other teachers from this school.
Oh, and I would be totally remiss if I didn't say this. I actually have a son today. Well, I have many adopted sons, but a real son who lived with me. And I got him while here at CC Sweetie. I adopted him because he was in crisis. And we had a system, and I wonder if they do that now, and if they don't, then maybe they should, where guidance, they had us adopt a student. So they had these students that were in need, and they had teachers adopt a student. And I adopted a student who was in the class with my
So
son.
when you say adopt now, let's be clear. This is like kind
Not
of
taking into your
like
home.
mentorship. Okay.
And helping. Like I know what it is to go to the grocery store and shop for $100 worth of groceries to carry because the dad and the mom weren't working. And there were so many children, and many of them came to CC. So I got this boy who's and I provided for his family like on a monthly basis.
This was an established program at
Yes,
the school.
yes, guidance counselor, the guidance
Who was
counseling
the person at
department,
that time? Who was in charge?
Mary Lightborn,
Oh, she was there when we were here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mrs. Lightborn, and Mrs. Newbold Miss Newbold was the person who came to me because she knew that I had been bringing food, breakfast, and that sort of thing for him. Because I had a class, a 12th grade class, and a lot of them had their little odd jobs, and they never made breakfast at home. And I told them, you need to have breakfast. So then we started a breakfast program. So they would go to class, and by the time they came back, normally I would have a little break. And so I would make sure I have their tuna sandwiches all made, their hot chocolate, tea, and they would come back at break and have these meals. Yeah, I know. And so he came along with this guy, and I fed them breakfast. And if I didn't make breakfast at school, then I would bring something from home for them. And so Miss Newbold got to know of this. So when the last time his mom pushed him down, and she cracked the back of his head, yeah. And to this day, there are times when I would just go and kiss him on that. I say, because if it weren't for this, I wouldn't have you.
Wow.
And she asked me if I would consider taking him. And
like taking him in, like the actual adoption.
Yeah, taking him in, not adopting on paper, but taking him in. And today he has a restaurant and bar out on Bay Street. And I try to pay him for items that I might get. And the last time he said, Mommy, if it weren't for you, I would not be here. So how could I take money from you? Your head good, Mommy? You know,
I mean, what does that do to your heart?
Oh man, I love him so much. Everybody knows him as Boy, but his name is Rudolph Thurston, and in school he was Christopher Griffin. And I love that boy so much. He has 3 sons now. He's married, and that wouldn't have happened if I didn't come to CC Sweeting.
Yeah.
You know, he's so special in my life. And I wouldn't, CC Sweeting gave him to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, these stories just warm your heart, but it's indicative of the right kind of person being in education.
I agree.
The right kind of people being in education, because your work, though it was in the classroom, obviously extended well beyond that 8 to 5 or whatever that shift was that you worked at the time, because you cared for these little people.
And just thinking back, I am becoming overwhelmed right now because it was just, my sister always says, everywhere you go, it's something about your students. Because I see them and we love on each other.
Yeah. I mean, the response that you've been getting.
We love on each other. And I have a former student who told me he will not purchase insurance from me because I belong in the classroom.
By the way, what made you switch?
Boy, I hate to say this, but money.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I was teacher of the year, and someone from the insurance industry came. Apparently, he was talking to all of the teachers from the various schools, and I was teacher of the year for CC Sweeting.
Which year was this?
This would have been 91 because that's when I left.
Okay.
Yeah, this was 91. And he talked to me, and then he asked me about purchasing insurance from him. And I said, no, I'm going to purchase for myself.
And that's when you made the
I
decision.
made the decision that very day that when school closed
But
for the summer.
there had to have been like, what led you to make that decision? Like, what was the back leading to that? Because you were clearly very good at what you did. Satisfied.
I
And
didn't
know
want
you.
to bring this out.
Hey, that's what you're gonna get when you get around me. I am a journalist. Don't forget that. But and I do understand the whole concept of being able to have enough money to.
I was really, I was hurt because I did my student teaching in North Carolina. And I saw a program there that I thought would be effective here, and I thought that we could be the pilot school for it.
Okay.
We had everything in place to do it. Everything we needed to do that, we had. And all I needed was for someone to say, yes, we'll move forward with it.
Just the approval.
Just the approval, and I did not get it. I was told, oh, I'm just marking my time. I'm like, but I'm just like 2 years here. So what's going to happen down the road? And I represented it. And the person And the person from education was like, oh, yes, this is great. We'll see what can happen. Nothing. And that went on. And I just, because I don't know if you remember upstairs where we would have the assembly, and then the principal would be on the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at the end there was a huge room. Miss Wiley was the math teacher there. And it was huge. I said, we already have the industrial craft students, they can make cubicles. And the back section would be ideal for a restroom.
Mm-hmm.
It would be an isolation unit. So instead of us sending students home on suspension, they would be in school. Their work would be brought to them every day. Their work would be collected from them every day.
What was the challenge in implementing
No
something like
one
that?
would do it. And that was what really triggered me the wrong way. And I was like, I want more for these children. And if I'm not going to get the support, what's the point?
Yeah.
And that was when he came in right on the heel of that. And that was when I made my decision.
We lost a good one in the classroom, and many others.
Yeah.
I'm like you, because I think for the most part there are still Anna Wilsons that exist out there, but I don't know if they're in great enough numbers
Mhm.
based on what we've been seeing of our students, what we've been hearing. I don't know if they're in great numbers, and perhaps are in the same place where you were, like, I'm giving this all, but you're not giving back
Mhm.
to support. So I do understand that whole sense of ask. Okay, listen, Candice, you need to come down to the
Yes,
school.
you need to come and be interviewed.
You need to come down here. This is my last day. But he says, ask her to tell you the story about how she made us write letters about where we wanted to be in 10 years. Yeah, let's talk about that.
I honestly don't remember. I don't remember that.
You don't remember
There were
that
so
one?
many initiatives.
She mailed those letters after 10 years. You don't even remember
I
that?
don't remember any of this stuff.
Well, obviously it was very impactful for
Yes.
him.
I remember.
So Candice, you need to tell us, like, what did you write in your letter where you
Yes.
wanted to be in the 10 years? Matter of fact, you should come down here.
I agree. We still have time. We
Still have some
to
time.
come.
Yeah, you need to come down here, but you don't even remember that even.
I don't remember.
But it sounds
because there
powerful.
were a lot of things that happened that I didn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember those lower level classes. One of the things that they had to perfect was completing an application. So I would go into the government offices and I'd collect applications, forms, and they would have to know how to complete those. I said, because at the end of the day, if you're going on a job, you need to be able to complete an application. And so I remember doing things like those. I remember I had my students do journals. Reason being, there were some things that students didn't want to talk about. They didn't want to verbalize.
Sure.
But if you had them write, and what I did, I told them they were at liberty to write whatever they wanted to. The journals were kept locked in my cupboard. So, and then my classroom was locked, so nobody could go in and access.
So no judgment, anything.
No judgment. Write whatever you want to write. I've had students that cuss me, and when they came to class, I was like, "Hey, how's the day?" Because the journals were off limit. They had nothing to do with the class, nothing to do with the lesson, nothing to do with the person. That was their way of venting.
Right.
And I would respond to them. I would say, "Okay, this is the situation. So how do you feel about this? Do you think?"
So you would have these discussions in class, or this would be you writing,
just me writing in everybody's
and they
journal.
would respond to them.
So if they had a problem, they would talk about their problem, and I would respond. I would give advice, and that's how we would communicate.
I would have loved your class.
And they would also it also helped them with their writing.
Yes.
Because
that was smart.
Yeah, so it helped them to write better. So they were good writers. Why? The student, he said, when he went off, the teacher said to him, "Where did you learn to write like this?" And it all because of the journals that we did. And every day, the first 5-10 minutes of class, they just knew they went straight to the cupboard, grabbed their journals, and they sat and they wrote.
Love that.
Yeah.
Like unfortunately, I don't have any nephews doing anything like that.
Yeah.
At least remotely.
I really enjoy
You
teaching, and
seem
I
to
love
have
my
been
students.
made for this.
I
Like,
love my
so
students.
even though you stopped teaching formally, did you have time to still do like maybe an aftercare program with teaching or anything, or you literally just walked away? Were you able to just
I
do
have
that?
grand nieces and nephews that I took one of my grandnieces and nephews one of my grandnieces in with me during COVID, and she had her BJC exams, and she fought me tooth and nail, and she was with me 5 months.
So you whipped her into shape. And
Yes,
that's
I did. And everybody was elated at her results. She got excellent results.
But you've never done anything else formally.
No, but I'll share this. The Lord has been weighing heavily on my heart, the whole idea of, especially, I see a lot of athletes who they are so gifted, but they lack the academics. And so some of them go off and they don't stay because they just don't have it. They cannot compete. And that's been on my heart. And so I am thinking, my clients are saying I don't need to retire, but I'm going to fully retire maybe in another 3 years. God spares my life. And I'm thinking that what I want to do is create, and my daughter did nonprofit management. As her that was her master's thesis. And so she's telling me that that's something that we can collaborate on. And so I want to go into many of the track clubs, some of the high schools, and where you have these these talented students athletically, but they are failing academically, and grab them out before their 12th grade year and start working with them to prepare them for their SATs and so that they have a fighting chance when they go off.
Stay and to maintain the scholarships, because it's one thing to get it, it's another to maintain it.
Yes, absolutely.
With your grades. I love that idea.
So that's where I'm leaning right now. But I never stopped teaching. Never did. Always had somebody that I was teaching something.
I'm sure you did, because you're just so good at it. And I think for me, just sitting here with you, I not only can feel the sense of passion, but the love, like you really loved,
I
enjoyed
thoroughly
doing
enjoyed.
what you
Yes.
did.
On Valentine's Day, Candice would remember this. They had to write love poems, and we would decorate a board with the best, like 10, 15 poems. And teachers, students from all over the school would come to read the poems and look at the board. And that we were known, if that was a known thing. But the month of February was Love Month, and I would have all those poems displayed,
Right.
and people would come and read.
And they looked
They
forward
look
to
forward
doing
to
it.
that. Yes.
That is so very good. Listen, you are supposed to be teaching.
I know.
You're supposed to be pouring into students' lives on whatever, however it manifests, but you're supposed to be doing that's your work. I mean, you had to do what was necessary, obviously, but your life's work,
Yeah. And I'm going full circle. I feel it.
yeah.
I feel myself going full circle, um, back into teaching and trying to make a difference.
Yeah,
In
it's,
lives.
it's so. I think now more than ever, it is so needed. Like again, we hear all these horror stories, students in schools, and we see kids just kind of wandering around aimlessly, and we just know it's because
No
there's
guidance.
there's not enough guidance around at any place that, and if they're not getting it at home, at least school.
And that is why I was so broken when we couldn't do that program. Because I'm saying these children, the only structure, the only guidance they have is when they come to us. And here it is, we're going to send them home on suspension for 2 weeks.
To do what?
My sister taught, and one of her students on suspension was in the wrong crowd and ended up in jail. On suspension.
Yeah, could have been avoided
Could have been
if there was
avoided.
a program.
Could have been avoided if there were such a program.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
And perhaps a program that like that does not yet exist. Do you know? if it
well,
does now?
I know that there are some churches where when students are suspended, they send them to these churches.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that,
and
but that's not a structured program.
I don't know how
It's
well
not.
it
My
works.
sister at one of the churches, I have a younger sister who used to do youth ministry, working full time at the church, and they would do that. But it was, she said, it was a structured program that when they came there, I mean, they found things for them to do, but not with the type of structure that you're mentioning.
Yeah, because they were still in the school environment. They were still getting their work. They had to complete their work and submit it at the end of the day, so they wouldn't miss anything.
I'm just flabbergasted that
Yes.
they would not see the wisdom.
And I said,
Doing
you know
something like that.
what that would mean for us to say, CC Sweeting, this was birthed out of CC Sweeting, and yeah, but you know,
Listen, you've done so much, and there's obviously more. Hey, Deidre Roll and Christine Thompson, and Candice, you could have been there like 6 hours
I
ago,
am
all the
telling
writing
you.
you were doing on this show today. But
I taught his brother Clenty too.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
there were two of them. One Clenty was in my homeroom class, and I taught Candice English.
so I listen. I'm so glad you came.
I am glad I came to
So glad you stopped
this
by.
walk around. Oh, we actually now have a teachers group.
Do you really?
We do. Some of the teachers, there are, so far I have about 10 persons in the group. And
And that just came about like a
came about right out of this. Right
Love
out
it,
of this.
love it.
And we are all so excited. Several of us are going to be out tomorrow afternoon,
great.
tomorrow evening.
Right at the
the
meet and greet, y'all.
yes.
Starts at 6. So you
Yeah,
can
so
come on
I'm
by.
picking up. I have two teachers to pick up, and I was communicating with one as I pulled in. So I don't know if she's going to come, but if she's coming, then I'll pick her up. So the four of us will ride
Listen,
together.
that's wonderful. You've been talking with Mr. Butler, Wilfred.
I haven't seen Mr. Butler since I think he left. Yeah, he left before I did.
He left me.
He was transferred.
But reach out to him for
He has some
sure,
numbers.
because he has been very instrumental in this process for me and helping me to connect with former teachers and
Okay.
administrators.
Well, I should see him at the banquet.
Yeah.
And I will exchange numbers and he can give me, because I don't know if Bobby Knowles would have been here when you were here. She taught in the business department.
No, she wouldn't have been at my time.
Okay, well, Linda Grant was, well, I met Bobby Knowles here though.
In business?
I met her here when I came. I'm pretty sure I met her here. I know Linda Grant came after me. She was Candice's homeroom teacher. And
In business department, to my recollection, there
Ms.
was
Lewis was
Miss
Lewis.
Whitehead, Miss
I know
Maisie
Miss
Smith,
Whitehead. I know, I spoke to Mrs. Smith.
Miss Williams, can't remember her first name. Mr. Rodney Johnson.
I heard about Mr. Johnson. I don't remember him. But Mrs. Lewis, I met her here when I came.
I think I remember that name. She perhaps didn't teach me, but I do recall.
Yeah,
Lewis.
she, I made contact with her. Linda Grant, she is now in our group. Bobby Knowles is in the group. Jenny Cox is in the group. Anita Bannaby.
Awesome.
Beverly Bannaby.
Okay.
I met her here too.
What about
Jackie Knowles is in the group.
was Mrs. Parker here when you were
Yeah,
there?
she is in the group.
Okay.
Yeah, she was senior mistress when I came in, and she was my supervisor because you had to prepare notes, and you had a supervisor who would check all the notes, and she was my supervisor.
I had a
came in.
really in-depth talk with her last week,
She
so that
told
was
me-
that was quite
yeah,
enjoyable
she
as
told me
well.
that she was on last week, but yeah, and we Parker, the ones that are in the group, we managed to stay in touch.
Great.
Yeah, because Jackie's son is my godson.
Okay.
Jenny's son is my godson. My daughter is Linda's goddaughter.
Okay. So
And
they are
so,
really
yeah,
connected.
Yeah, we a few of us really stayed connected.
So I'm so looking forward to Saturday night.
Oh, I can't wait.
Just to be able
I
to
can't
see, I'm telling people it's kind of like a reunion of sorts, or it is a reunion.
It is.
But in addition, it's an opportunity to network. There are so many amazing people out there that have either graduated or taught at CC Sweeting that we need to know. You know, we need to know they exist.
There's a guy who was in Candice's class, and Candice would know his name, and he will remain nameless.
Candice, I'm glad to know you're okay.
What happened?
Say he had surgery.
Oh, okay. We forgive you for not being able to come down. I'll reach out to you later to check on you.
Glad to know you're okay,
Yeah.
though. Good
That's
to
a
know.
man of God, so he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And this guy, capable, but just would not get his work done in a timely manner. And I would say to him, listen, this work is due tomorrow. You're not getting an F. So you're not having lunch today. Because I never left the campus because somebody always needed something. So I never left the campus. So you sit right down here and do this work. And they made me mad. I don't know if Candice remembers this, but they made me mad with something they didn't do for me. I didn't give them Fs. I gave them all E's. I said, no, I'm not. F means you fail. E means you just didn't do the work sufficiently.
Right.
So you got, and they actually created a group. Why did we get E's? I have it on my phone right now.
Ease.
Why did we get E's? Yes. And this guy, he's in politics now. He was a tremendous track star. He just told me a couple of years ago, his daughter's just like he was when he was in school, so I need
He
to
need an
help
Ada
out.
Wilson in his
Yeah.
life right
He said,
now.
she needs you because she's just like I was when I was in school. So,
It must be so satisfying, though, as you sit back and you see the fruit of your labor
it is.
in various sectors of society, no matter what they're doing.
Yes, it is. And there are some regrets, you wish you could have helped more.
Sure.
There was this guy, I talk, he's probably been gone almost 20 years, but I still think about him and talk about him from time to time. He was in one of the lowest streams, and the teacher was absent, and so I went in to substitute the class. And the students were doing, I guess, what they were accustomed to doing, making noise and all that. And he said, y'all can't see she trying to help us. Y'all be quiet. Came to me after class. He said, I want to do the work, but I can't read. And we had a reading department at the time. And shout out to Carrie Young. I went to her and I asked her to work with him. I said, now you're gonna have to work with him in the afternoons because it's gonna be embarrassing for him to come during the day.
Sure.
So she agreed. And so after school, he would go to our classroom. I don't know how long it happened, but I know that they were working together. And he left school because they say graduate, but everybody doesn't graduate. So he left school at the end of the 12th year. And some years later, he was shot on a bus. Yeah, he had an exchange with the police and he was shot on the bus as he was robbing persons on the bus. And that was not what he wanted for himself. He wanted to learn, he wanted to do better, but he was failed. And that, to this day, I think about that and I talk about it. And it's been almost 20 years since he's been gone. But, and so those are the times when I just wish I could have done more, because had I gone to him sooner, when he was a little, maybe in grade 11 or 10, I could have, I might have been able to help him to be the person he wanted to be, And so I have a lot of students that have done well, and I am fulfilled in, seeing them in the wider community. But there are some that slip through the cracks, and I never forget them either.
So in these final moments, say something to teachers who are in the system right now.
First of all, I would say to persons who are considering teaching, if you are going into it because you want to earn some money, then maybe you need to rethink it. Because the challenges that you face, the money will not be sufficient to overcome that. You have to love children. You cannot be a teacher and not love children. If you don't love children, it's easy for you to see all of their faults. It's easy for you to see all of their weaknesses. It's easy to see their failures. But if you really, truly love children, no matter what you see right now, you look beyond that and see who they can be with your love, with your mentorship, with your nurturing. And so I say to teachers, yes, I'm sure it's hard. It's harder now than when I taught, because I know you can't pull the window stick in and give them 3 whaps and send them back to their seats. And so I just think they waste so much time sitting outside the principal's office when they could be engaged in classes. And there are a lot of things that you're unable to do as we did back then. But the main thing you have to remember is to love them as Jesus loves us. When we were lost, when we were in filth, when we had no intention of loving Jesus, he loved us in spite of. So if we can love these children in spite of where they come from, in spite of what they may have done, you will be surprised to see the change that will come about as a result of you just loving them. And so the key is to love them.
To love them.
Love them.
I thought that was the final one, but I didn't find a question.
You have something else.
If you had an opportunity to change, to remove, to fix something in the present public school educational system as exists, what would it be?
It would begin with the primary school. I think their timetable is too loaded. If I could change anything, I would start in the primary school, and they would have every day, they would do phonics, the principles of reading. They would do phonics, they would do comprehension, they would do math, they would do a bit of science, but basically grades 1, 2, and 3, I would bombard them with math, making sure they knew their timetables.
Phonemic awareness for sure.
Yeah, and making sure that they were critical thinkers.
Yes.
All of
I
these
love that.
things in grades 1, 2, and 3. When they go to grade 4, 5, 6, then we introduce all, and the basic thing they would know, New Providence, they know Andros is the largest island, and things like those.
Social
But
studies.
all that in-depth social studies, dates, and all those things that they introduce to young children, I would say in primary school, I don't even think they need all that right then. You know, just let them deal with the basic math and English and reading, because readers are leaders.
Yes.
They say, you know, but it is so true.
I traveled the world in books as a kid.
Absolutely.
I read about cultures.
Absolutely.
everything.
And so if we would look at just changing the first 3 years of these children's lives, by the time they get to high school, they would have an appreciation for reading. They would know their timetables. You have children graduating high school and do not know their timetables. You know, and so just basic things like those, I would like to see happen in the primary school. And the social promotion, I think, must stop. You know this child is failing. This child cannot read. This child does not know his timetables. This child cannot add and divide. But you're going to send this child on straight throughout school, year after year, and they leave school, because I refuse to say graduate. They leave school, and they are at a grade 4 level.
And
Where are they
dysfunctional
going?
adults.
Absolutely. And so that is why we have the crime problem. Because like the same young man who was shot on the bus, he had no skills. So, you know,
And he
did
probably
what-
felt hopeless, so.
yeah. And when I saw him in the paper, I wept, because I knew that he had been failed. You know, and so that is what I would like to
Just
see.
changing the structure
Yeah.
from the primary school level.
From the primary school, because in a lot of cases, it's kind of far gone now with these children that are in 11th, 12th grade, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. It's pretty far gone for some of them. Some of them you can still pull out, because I've seen it happen with my 12th grade class, my 12th grade P class. I've seen it happen, right? But if you start from the primary school, it will take a while to see it, but in the long run, you know, it will be beneficial to the country, because when these children go out and they are doing well in society, it makes for a better country.
Sounds like a funding project.
Yeah.
to create a school like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
that's my 5 cents.
Listen, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, whatever it was certainly worth meeting you today
It was an
and having
absolute
this
pleasure
chat.
meeting you.
Having this chat with you.
Yes.
So listen, we look forward to seeing you. First of all, Friday night, I want to remind those of you who are able, we are going to be in this very room on Friday night, evening from 6 until 10 p.m. And we are encouraging alumni as well as former teachers and admins to come on in. Let's begin to mix and mingle. There's going to be a silent auction too, by the way.
Okay, how does that work?
So the items will be on display. And if you're interested in something, you just write your name and jot it down and you put your price, what you're
Okay.
interested in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a bid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just collect them and whoever gets the highest wins. Because it is about a fundraiser. I want to remind you that the alumni of the school has 2 particular programs that they intend to implement in the coming school year, which would be a mentorship program and an entrepreneurship program. You will definitely be called in. I'm putting you on notice now.
I am ready, willing, and able.
Definitely, and whoever else is
This is Cece.
whoever else is interested, because I told them a part of our function is to leave these kids better than we met them,
Absolutely.
and to definitely create opportunities for them. In my capacity, where I work as Vice President of Global Growth and Development for the Orion Education Group in Texas, I most certainly intend to see how I can get some scholarships coming this way.
Absolutely.
So that is my
That's
intent.
great.
And but there's just so many things that we can do collectively
Yes.
that,
Yeah, we'll do them better together.
and with people like you on board, for sure, many others,
Mhm.
but I'm sure will come about. So this is what we're striving to do. The banquet on Saturday is the attention getter, to bring people together and to see who we have and who's willing, because a lot of times people are willing to do the work, but they're not informed. They don't know. So this will also be an opportunity, by the way, because we will be having we'll be distributing cards so that people, are you interested in volunteerism, what's
Yeah.
your skill set, etc., to collect that data while we are there, and then we know who to call on in future
Right.
for certain areas. So I'm really, really excited about that, because I told them my focus isn't really the event as much as the aftermath and what we're able to do and how we're
Achieve as
able
a
to
result.
affect. Yes. So thanks again for
My
stopping
absolute
by.
pleasure.
And I'll see you tomorrow night. And
God spares my life. I
Yes.
won't miss it.
definitely.
My daughter's like, I can't wait to see you in that environment, because I talk so much about CC.
Right.
And so she said, I can't wait to
So
see what it's like.
did she come along post CC?
Yes, post
Ah,
CC.
okay.
Yeah. She came along in 93.
Okay. Okay.
And,
Yeah. And
yeah. So she's very excited because she sees my excitement. I tell everybody, I can't explain how excited I am about this whole thing.
Listen, I'm so happy. I share your enthusiasm. So thanks again for
My
stopping
pleasure.
by. See you
I'm a
soon.
hugger.
Yes. See you soon.
Yes, tomorrow. God
Bye-bye.
spares life.
Thank you.
Okay, bye everyone. Bye, Candice. I'll reach out to you.
So listen, guys, I've been sitting. It's been such a joy and delight to sit here with Mrs. Anna Wilson Smith this afternoon, and you've heard the love, like just kind of oozing from her, and all that she's had to share about her times at CC Sweeting and the students who brought her so much joy and delight over the years. And we just want to remind those of you, there is an alumni group that has been organized for anyone who's interested to be a part of the work that we're going to begin to do in the schools. And so those of you, so many professional people out there, listen, if you could just give us an hour, an hour, one day a week, we do intend to implement a mentorship program and an entrepreneurship program. Those of you who are business owners, have been in business, definitely you'll have something to say and to share with our students who will be participating in that. And we encourage you. We encourage you to get involved, man. Nobody can do it by themselves. No man is an island. No man stands alone. We know all that kind of stuff. And two, better than one. And we can pull this off, man. We can make this school the best school in this country if we put the time and effort into it and encourage others to do the same. So, thanks to all of you guys who hung out with us today. Yeah, it's after 3. Thank you to all who have tuned in. Make sure share this with somebody who didn't have a chance to watch it today because they may have been working or whatever. But make sure and share it and tell them about the meet and greet tomorrow night right on campus at the school in the dining hall beginning at 6 p.m. Tell them about it. It's a free event. Drinks, if you want alcoholic drinks or whatever, you'll have to pay for that, but everything else is free. And come on, come see who's involved and mix and mingle. Candies get well soon. And I'll see you guys at the banquet on Saturday night. Bye, everybody.